but dearly loves bright lights and lamps. Airy, agile, all too clever and fast. He flies into the fiend's cave. The little demon who was supposed to guard the door was lying there asleep, snoring. Pilgrim gave him a bite on his face, causing the little demon to roll over half awakened. "Oh my father," he said. "What a big mosquito. One bite and I already have a big lump." He then opened his eyes and said, "Why, it's dawn." Just then, the second door inside opened with a creak, and Pilgrim immediately flew in. The old monster was giving orders to all his subordinates to be especially careful in guarding the various entrances while they made ready their weapons. "If the wind yesterday did not kill that Pilgrim's son," he said, "he will certainly come back today. When he comes, we'll finish him off." Hearing this, Pilgrim flew past the main hall and arrived at the rear of the cave, where he found another door tightly shut. Crawling through a crack in the door, he discovered a large garden, in the middle of which, bound by ropes to a pole, was the Tang monk. That master was shedding tears profusely, constantly wondering where Wukong and Wu Neng were to be found. Pilgrim stopped his flight and alighted on his bald head, saying, "Master." Recognizing his voice, the elder said, "Wukong, I nearly died thinking of you. Where are you calling from?" "Master," said Pilgrim, "I'm on your head. Calm yourself and stop worrying. We must first capture the monster before we can rescue you." "Disciple," said the Tang monk, "when will you be able to capture the monster?" "The tiger monster who took you," said Pilgrim, "has already been slain by 8 rules. But the wind of the old monster is a powerful weapon. I suspect we should be able to capture him today. Relax and stop crying. I'm leaving." Having said that, he flew at once to the front, where the old monster was seated aloft, making a roll call of all the commanders of his troops. A little demon suddenly appeared, waving the command flag. He dashed up to the hall, crying, "Great King, this little one was on patrol in the mountain when he ran into a monk with a long snout and huge ears sitting in the woods not far from our entrance. If I hadn't run away quickly, he would have caught me. But I didn't see that hairy-faced monk who came here yesterday. If Pilgrim's son is absent," said the old monster, "it may mean that he's been killed by the wind. Or he may have gone to try to find help." "Great King," said one of the demons, "it would be our good fortune if he had been killed. But suppose he's not dead. If he succeeds in bringing with him some divine warriors, what shall we do then?" The old monster said, "Who's afraid of any divine warrior? Only the Bodhisattva Lingji can overcome the power of my wind. No one else can do us any harm." That pilgrim resting on one of the beams above him was delighted by this one statement. He flew out of the cave at once and, changing back into his original form, arrived at the woods. "Brother," he cried. 8 rules asked, "Elder brother, where have you been? Just now a monster with a command flag came by, and I chased him away." Thank you, said Pilgrim, laughing. Old Monkey changed into a mosquito to enter the cave to see how Master was doing. I found him tied to a post in the garden, weeping. After telling him not to cry, I flew around the roof to spy on them some more. That was when the fellow who held the command flag came in panting, saying that you had chased him. He also said that he had not seen me. The old monster made some wild speculations about my having been killed by the wind, or else having gone to find help. Then, without being prompted, he suddenly mentioned someone else. "It's marvelous, simply marvelous." "Whom did he mention?" asked 8 Rules. "He said that he wasn't afraid of any divine warrior," said Pilgrim. "For no one else could overpower his wind save the Bodhisattva Lingji. The only trouble is that I don't know where this Lingji lives." As they were thus conversing, they suddenly saw an aged man walking by the side of the main road. "Look at his appearance. Strong, he uses no cane to walk. With flowing snow-like hair and beard. though wit and eyes are quite dim and blurry. Thin bones and sinews are still tough. Back and head bent he walked slowly, with thick brows and a pink face, childlike. Look at his features and they seem human, though he's like Long Life Star no less. Highly pleased when he caught sight of him, Eight Rules said, "Elder brother, the proverb says, you want to know the way. Hear what the tourists say. Why don't you approach him and ask?" The great sage put away his iron rod and straightened out his clothes. Approaching the old man, he said, "Aged sir, receive my bow." Somewhat reluctantly, the old man returned his greeting, saying, "What region are you from, monk? What are you doing here in this wilderness?" "We are holy monks on our way to seek scriptures," said Pilgrim. "Yesterday we lost our master here, and so I'm approaching you to ask where the Bodhisattva Lingji lives." "Lingji lives south of here," said the old man, "about 3,000 miles away. There is a mountain called the Little Sumeru Mountain, which has within it a land of the way, the Chen Hall, where the Bodhisattva lectures on sutras. I suppose you are trying to obtain scriptures from him." "Not from him," said Pilgrim, "but I have something that requires his attention. Will you please show me the way?" Pointing with his hand toward the south, the old man said, "Follow that winding path." The great sage Sun was tricked into turning his head to look at the path when the old man changed himself into a gentle breeze and vanished. A small slip of paper was left beside the road, on which was written this quatrain: "To tell the equal to heaven great sage. The old man is in truth one long life Li. On Sumeru's the flying dragon staff. Lingji, in years past, received this Buddhist arm." Pilgrim took up the slip and went back down the road. "Elder brother," said Eight Rules, "our luck must have been rather bad lately. For 2 days we saw ghosts in broad daylight. Who is that old man who left after changing into a breeze?" Pilgrim gave Eight Rules the slip of paper. "Who is this Long Life Li?" asked Eight Rules when he had read the verse. "It's the name of the planet Venus from the west," said Pilgrim. Eight Rules hurriedly bowed toward the sky, crying, "Benefactor! Benefactor! Had it not been for the gold star, who personally begged the Jade Emperor to be merciful, I don't know what would have become of Old Hog." "Elder brother," said Pilgrim, "you do have a sense of gratitude. But don't expose yourself. Take cover deep in the woods and carefully guard the luggage and the horse. Let Old Monkey find the Sumeru Mountain and seek help from the Bodhisattva." I know," said Eight Rules. "Hurry up and go. Old Hog has mastered the law of the turtle. Withdraw your head when you needn't stick it out." The great sage Sun leapt into the air. Mounting the cloud somersault, he headed straight south. He was fast, indeed. With a nod of his head, he covered 3,000 miles. Just a twist of his torso carried him over 800. In a moment he saw a tall mountain with auspicious clouds hanging halfway up its slopes and holy mists gathered around it. In the fold of the mountain there was indeed a temple. He could hear the melodious sounds of the bells and sonorous stones and could see the swirling smoke of incense. As he approached the door, the great sage saw a Taoist with a string of beads around his neck, who was reciting the name of Buddha. Pilgrim said, "Taoist, please accept my bow." The Taoist at once bowed in return, saying, "Where did the Venerable Father come from? Is this where the Bodhisattva Lingji expounds the scriptures?" asked Pilgrim. "Indeed it is," said the Taoist. "Do you wish to speak to someone?" "May I trouble you, sir, to make this announcement for me?" said Pilgrim. "I am the disciple of the Master of the Law, Tripitaka, who is the royal brother of the great Tang Emperor in the land of the East. I am the great sage, equal to heaven, Sun Wukong, also named Pilgrim. I have a matter that requires me to have an audience with the Bodhisattva." The Taoist laughed and said, "The Venerable Father has given me a long announcement. I can't quite remember all those words. Just say that Sun Wukong, the disciple of the Tang monk, has arrived," said Pilgrim. The Taoist agreed and made that announcement in the lecture hall, whereupon the Bodhisattva at once put on his cassock and asked for more incense to be burned to welcome the visitor. Then the great sage walked in the door and peered inside. He saw a hall full of brocade and silk, a house most solemn and grand, pupils reciting the Lotus Sutra, an old leader tapping the golden gong. Set before the Buddha were all immortal fruits and flowers. Spread out on the altars were vegetarian dainties and viands. The bright, precious candles, their golden flames shot up like rainbows. The fragrant true incense, its jade-like smoke flew up as colored mists. So it was that, after the lecture, one would calmly meditate. When white cloud flakes circled the tips of pines, the wisdom sword retired, for Mara snapped. In this space of Prajna Paramita, the Bodhisattva straightened out his attire to receive Pilgrim, who entered the hall and took the seat of the guest. Tea was offered, but Pilgrim said, "No need for you to bother about tea. My master faces peril at the Yellow Wind Mountain, and I beseech the Bodhisattva to exercise his great Dharma power to defeat the monster and rescue him." "I did receive the command of Tathagata," said the Bodhisattva, "to keep the Yellow Wind monster here in submission. Tathagata also gave me a wind-stopping pearl and a flying dragon precious staff. At the time when I captured him, I spared the monster his life only on condition that he would retire in the mountain and abstain from the sin of taking life. I did not know that he would want to harm your esteemed teacher and transgress the law. That is my fault." The Bodhisattva would have liked to prepare some vegetarian food to entertain Pilgrim, but Pilgrim insisted on leaving. So he took the flying dragon staff and mounted the clouds with the great sage. In a little while they reached the Yellow Wind Mountain. "Great sage," said the Bodhisattva, "this monster is rather afraid of me. I will stand here at the edge of the clouds while you go down there to provoke battle. Entice him to come out so that I may exercise my power." Pilgrim followed his suggestion and lowered his cloud. Without waiting for further announcement, he whipped out his iron rod and smashed the door of the cave, crying, "Monster, give me back my master." Those little demons standing guard at the door were so terrified that they ran to make the report. "This lawless ape," said the monster, "is truly ill-behaved. He would not defer to kindness, and now he has even broken my door. This time when I go out, I'm going to use that divine wind to blow him to death." He put on his armor, as before, and took up the steel trident. Walking out of the door and seeing Pilgrim, he did not utter a word before aiming the trident at Pilgrim's chest. The great sage stepped aside to dodge this blow and then faced him with uplifted rod. Before they had fought for a few rounds, the monster turned his head toward the ground in the southwest and was about to open his mouth to summon the wind. From midair, the Bodhisattva threw down the flying dragon precious staff as he recited some kind of spell. It was instantly transformed into a golden dragon with 8 claws, 2 of which caught hold of that monster's head and threw him 2 or 3 times against the boulders beside the mountain cliff. The monster changed back into his original form and became a mink with yellow fur. Pilgrim ran up and was about to strike with his rod, but he was stopped by the Bodhisattva, who said to him, "Great sage, do not harm him. I have to take him back to see Tathagata. Originally, he was a rodent at the foot of the Spirit Mountain who had acquired the way. Because he stole some of the pure oil in the crystal chalice, he fled for fear that the Vara attendants would seize him. Tathagata thought that he was not guilty of death, and that is why I was asked to capture him in the first place and banish him to this region. But now he has offended the great sage and has attempted to harm the Tang monk. Therefore, I must take him to see Tathagata so that his guilt may be clearly established. Only then will this merit be completed." When Pilgrim heard this, he thanked the Bodhisattva, who left for the west, and we shall say no more of that. We now tell you about Zhu 8 rules, who was thinking about Pilgrim in the woods when he heard someone calling down by the slope. "Brother Wuneng, bring the horse and the luggage here." Recognizing Pilgrim's voice, Idiot quickly ran out of the woods and said to Pilgrim, "Elder brother, how did everything go?" "I invited the Bodhisattva Lingji to come here," said Pilgrim, "to use his flying dragon staff to capture the monster. He was a mink with yellow fur who became a spirit and has now been taken by the Bodhisattva to Spirit Mountain to face Tathagata. Let's go into the cave to rescue Master." Idiot was delighted. The two of them smashed their way into the cave and with their rake and rod slaughtered all the wily hares, the vixen, the musk deer, and the horned deer. Then they went to the garden in the back to rescue their master, who, after coming out, asked, "How did you two manage to catch the monster so that you could rescue me?" Pilgrim gave a thorough account of how he went to seek the Bodhisattva's help to subdue the monster, and the master thanked him profusely. Then the two brothers found some vegetarian food in the cave, which they prepared along with some tea and rice. After eating, they left and again found the road to the west. We do not know what took place hereafter. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter.